Welcome to my new Guitar Nerdery video, Dual Guitar Parts. Double-voiced guitar solos are a very suitable way to let a solo part really shine. If you like to do this with your guitar playing colleague in your band, or you're just recording and do not know how to do this, I got a nice, really easy to apply trick to get it started, to write your first harmonized melody in an instant. Double-voiced melodies. A very common way of arranging this is in thirds, even when singing. For example, when you listen to nowadays country music, there's always a third in the background added to the lead vocals. When you want to do this, you have to know a couple of things. For example, first, which key are you in? Each key consists out of minor thirds and major thirds. And which note of your original melody matches with a minor third or with a major third. And here my easy to apply trick comes in, using 3 notes per string scale shapes. Why 3 notes per string scale shapes? You can use, of course, all other shapes, but we're talking about making it easy. 3 notes per string scale shapes have an equal number of notes on each string. That's why they're called like that. That makes them somehow symmetric. And if you have a movement within one shape, you easily can adapt the same movement into all other shapes, because you have always the same count of notes on each string. You only have to adapt the fingerings. To make it more precise, we're talking about 3 notes per string scale shapes of the Ionian system this time, because we need to do this within diatonic scales. Diatonic scales are scales that where each step from note to note is a second. You can't do the trick I'm going to show you in a few with pentatonic scale shapes, because pentatonic scales are only a part of diatonic scales. So just to make it clear, if you're not really familiar with this, scale shape number 6 played in the 5th position. And scale shape number 7 starts at the 2nd note of scale shape number 6. And scale shape number 1 then starts on the 2nd note of scale shape number 7. And scale shape 2 starts on the 2nd note of number 1, and so on and so on. That's the concept. So this way, each scale shape overlaps 2/3 with the next scale shape, or with the former one. And now the trick, how to use these scale shapes to arrange double-voiced melodies in an instant. Because we're starting with this, use one scale shape first to compose, to arrange your original melody, and define this shape you've chosen as the first one. It doesn't matter which number I gave them here on the display. And because each following scale shape starts on the 2nd note of the former scale shape, means that you can compare the distances of these scale shape with intervals. In a few, I'm going to show you examples in the key of A Aeolian, A natural minor. Therefore, I'm going to take what I call scale shape number 6 and play it in the 5th position. Having A as the root or an A minor makes it A Aeolian. Let's shrink it to the first octave. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. A is the root, B is the 2nd, C is the 3rd, D is the 4th, E is the 5th, F is the 6th, G is the 7th, and that A is the octave of the first A. And because each scale shape, putting this scale on one string, each note is a starting point for a new scale shape. So when I start a scale shape here on the C, the first note of that scale shape is the third to that first pattern, pattern number 6, but we call it first. And this is a third. And when you do the same in this scale shape, like you do here, for example, you play. If you do the same here, each of those notes in that scale shape, each of the notes you play is a third to the note of the first pattern. And you always play the right thirds because you stay in the key. Here, this is a minor third. Also a minor third, but here from C, in that shape, here you get a major third. You do this automatically without having to think about this. You're always doing it right when you stay in that scale shape. And of course, this applies also to all other strings. So what you play in that whole scale shape here, if you adapt this in movement to this scale shape, if you adapt the fingering, but play the same strings and the same count of notes in the same way, then you always play the thirds to the original melody. This is the trick. And now I'm going to show you how to apply this. And you have to know, with that concept, you're not only able to play thirds, but also all other intervals. If you want to play a second voice in fourth to the original melody, then use the next after the next scale shape. So first, second, third, fourth scale shape. If you want to play fifth, play the fifth scale shape. Start counting with your first one. And so on. The sixth scale shape, then from your first one would be playing sixths, and the seventh would be playing seventh. And you're always playing the right intervals. So to get started and starting to arrange a melody in thirds doesn't mean you have to know all scale shapes. You have to know two. And of course, if you want to add a fourth or a fifth, you have to learn another one. That way, you're also learning something. You're learning scale shapes. Maybe this is a very good way to learn this. I'm going to play to a backing track in A Aeolian mode using shape number 6, and I'm going to play a melody. It's basically playing the scale up and down. Makes it more easy for you to see what I'm doing, but trying to make it very melodic by making the phrasing interesting. Everything I've just played, I'm gonna adapt everything to the scale shape, the next after the next. I've used scale shape number 6, so now I adapt everything to scale shape number 1. This sounds awesome. This was the original melody, harmonizing it with thirds. And this is really easy to do. You just have to learn 2 scale shapes and then apply all movements to the next scale shape. So the only thing that changes is your fretting hand, the fingering, but not the right hand. The right hand changes not at all, because we always dealing with the same amount of notes on each string. So if I do this, and when I do this here, it's exactly the same way of movement, only my fingering is different. And that applies to everything I've just played. Let's, instead of taking that shape number 1, let's take the next one, that would be shape number 2, and each note of this shape to shape number 6 in the 5th position to the original one would be a 4th. And let's check out how this sounds. If I'm now gonna apply everything to the next scale shape, then we're gonna harmonize the original melody with 5th. Let's do this. Thirds, 5th, and also octaves are, I guess, the most common used intervals to harmonize a melody. As I formerly said, there's no country song nowadays without a third in the chorus on the vocals. And in the Middle Ages or the Renaissance music, they often used 5th to harmonize. I'm not an expert in this, so correct me if I'm wrong. But let's also listen to octaves. Now I've already covered the most used intervals to harmonize melodies. But let's also check those ones out I just left. The 6th, the 7th and the 2nds. To harmonize with 6s, I'm gonna use the 6th shape from the first one. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shape number 4 here on the display. Let's hear this. A lot of times it sounded awesome, I think, but there were some parts where there would be some adjustment be profitable to the arrangement. Let's listen to 7th. So the 7th shape would be the next after the one I played before, and that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be scale shape number 5. And now I let you know why I waited to play those seconds intervals, why I waited till the end. Because harmonizing a melody in seconds sounds majestic, dissonant. I actually like that kind of stuff, but I'm sure this won't make its way to the top 10 of the charts. Imagine you are in a band with 3 guitar players. Then you could arrange triple voiced melodies. Let's listen how voice number 1, the original one, sounds together with the 3rd and the 5th. Then you always hear, where actually was one note, a complete triad. Sounds impressive. This was it. This is the trick. Using scale shapes, 3 notes per string scale shapes. A good way or a good reason to learn them. And I hope you liked the content. I hope you found it inspiring. And I hope I could help you out to arrange fantastic harmonized melodies in your band or in your recordings. Played by hand, I think always sounds better than using a harmonizer. Let me remind you to like and subscribe if you not already have. It would help this channel a lot and would make videos like this also possible for the future. And I'm looking very, very forward to see you next time.